So, hey, welcome again to Redacted Nuisance, that 10 to 15 minutes on Tinternet that you have bumped into. Welcome. I'm Dr. J, use they as a pronoun. I identify as queer and transgressive non-binary genderqueer is my gender. My gender is confusion. I'm also a queer nuisance. And I call this podcast Redacted Nuisance rather than Queer Nuisance, simply because I wanted to ensure that it got out there. It didn't get into all kinds of blocks because of its queerness. We all know that that happens on multiple platforms. I also wanted to ensure that people who were in spaces where accessing explicitly queer material might be difficult for them actually had the ability to access this. Because if you're in those spaces, it's sometimes comforting to know you're not alone, or to know that there are other people who've been through the same things. I have. I will talk about that more at some point in time. And it's part of the ways that the LGBTQ community is an interesting diaspora. We're a diaspora who doesn't have those connections. Often when you're in a diaspora, you've got those familial connections that are close to you, and it's your family against the world. But when you're an LGBTQ, your diaspora is you, and you're constantly reaching out to find others like you, and that's one of the things behind some of the ramblings here. What this is I record it in one take. I don't listen back to it. I don't edit it, so there's lots of ums. If that annoys you, whatevs. And there'll be weird side brain moments, and I might not go quite as linear as what I think I am. What I do is I record it in one take, save it, put it up on Substack, publish it on a little bit of a routine, and I get to hear it when you get to hear it. So it's actually quite interesting. Sometimes I'm like, that was an interesting take. I really like what I said there. Or, really? Is that where you were aiming? Maybe we could go back and do a second version of that at some point. There's possibly a few of those. What I know that in the previous one I talked about feeling gender euphoria, or feeling euphoria about my body and dysphoria. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about also is, for me, it's moving away from how it looks to how it feels and what it can do when I think about my body. So, for so long, for 50 something years, my brain was, and the way that society talked about my body, the way that I internalized about my body was about how it looked. And it looks weird. And I'm not, no word of a lie. I'm basically my father with breasticles. I literally can wear his old clothes now. It is hilariously kind of one of those things of, that is my build. Apart from the fact that he was 6 foot tall, so I'm significantly shorter. He described it as an Irish Navy build. We are built for digging ditches. We are the roast beefs. We are the people who can dig a ditch all day, every day. Our bodies are built for efficiency and movement, for long-term endurance. We don't put on tons of muscle. We're muscular but scrawny. There is no way with the build that I have, no matter how much testosterone I take, and how much creatine I eat and all of that I'm going to be anything other than a little bit on the scrawnier side. But also barrel chested, because why not? We survive starvation, so the body plan is about surviving starvation. So you're barrel chested with a little bit of a belly. We're short, we're compact and strong and barrel chested and have a tendency to put on weight through the middle, because that means you've got enough energy reserve to deal with the endurance that your body is going to go through. It's a particular body style, and you see it. You can see where it comes from, evolutionary in the ways that this body was valued at various points. I've never liked the look of it. I've always internalized that, and the culture that I grew up in, the way that my body was talked about as I grew up, was never, hey, your body is great and strong and beautiful. It was always, you're too fat, you don't have hips, Why do you're trying to wear I can't make clothes to fit you. You always have to wear men's clothing. I always had to get men's shirts rather than girls' blouses, simply because my shoulders, if you fitted my shoulders in, the rest of the blouse would be absolutely ginormous on me. My shoulders are like a 24 or a 26 sometimes, but my barrel chest and everything and the breasticles are not big enough to fill out the rest of a 24 or 26 size blouse or shirt, so I tend to wear men's clothing because they fit my body better, and I've always felt more congruent. But recently I've been noticing, because I've lost the weight, I've lost 20 kilos or so, and I've been working out and re-muscled my body. So one of the things with losing weight, through the way that I did, which was the soups and shakes method, but also via Wegovy and other things, the GLP ones, is that you also tend to lose quite a bit of muscle mass. So one of the things that I focused on is trying to rebuild my body. Now, it feels different, and I've been kind of focusing on that. For example, where my shoulder blades meet my sports bra feels very different now, and I can feel that. I can feel the muscles interacting with the sports bra in a way that they never used to. I have lost quite a bit of subcutaneous fat. I can feel my bum is quite different. I'm just going to be brutally honest. I don't really. I'm not a big bum person. My bum was never that great. It was just there, like legs finished. There was a little bit of something, but it wasn't curvy. It wasn't muscular. It wasn't separated into two cheeks. It was like a mono bum, like a mono boob, but a mono bum. I now have separation. I now have very, very different bum, which feels different in my pants. And as somebody who is quite sensitive to how my body interacts with clothing, the fact that I have a bum that is butt cheeks and I have to deal with things sliding between the butt cheeks is a whole new thing. The fact that I've been working out and gained a lot of muscle down the side of my legs, because of the exercises that I've been doing. There's been a lot of squats. There's been trying to learn to lunge, which is difficult when you have one leg that doesn't work properly and feet that don't quite bend in the right way because of the leg not working properly. Break your leg badly. It's breaking ankles is one of the hardest recoveries to do. And it's all of those things have changed. My arms have changed, so how my shoulders interact with the edge of my clothing has changed completely. All of this stuff totally has been one of the things. So, for example, when you put your hands behind your back and do that stretch backwards to stretch your chest, you interlace your fingers behind your back and push them upwards. I used to be able to get maybe, if I got an inch off my butt, I was really proud. I had none of that motion. I can now get my hands halfway up my back. I can now do things with my arms that I was never able to do even as a child. I just didn't have that range of motion or the musculature that I now have. And that is amazing. And one of the things that I was able to do was sit and recognize in this moment of euphoria around my body, because I was sitting in my new togs in the sauna, just going, this body is actually really cool. It just did 45 minutes of a really hard aerobics class, and it barely cracked into any it's not tired at all. It's done 45 minutes of a really intense class, and I'm like, yeah, my cardiovascular fitness is really starting to ramp up. It would allow me to walk home, which took about an hour and a half because I called past and did some shopping on the way home. In the evening, it meant I could swim a mile in about 40 minutes. I'm like, this is a pretty amazing body that it can do those three things in a day and be wildly tired, but not worn out, not exhausted. And like today, I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, two, I'm going to walk to somewhere and back again, and then walk to somewhere else and back again. And I'm like, well, that's about 3.5 hours of walking. And my body's like, yeah, it's about 6 miles. Yeah, a year ago, I could not have thought of doing 6 miles of walking. But now my body is like, yeah, it's a day. And if you need to catch the bus, you catch the bus. But I think you're going to be fine. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be fine. And that is a whole new thing that I can turn around and go, this is what my body can do. Um, I can do push-ups. A year ago, 18 months ago, or just over a year ago, I was really, really having to focus on doing push-ups because I wanted to go and do an activity. And to do this activity, the first time I tried to do it, my inability to do a push-up really inhibited my ability to do this activity. It was playing on an bouncy a bouncy castle over water, aqua bounce or something like that. And it was great fun, but I really struggled and I got a little bit despairing because I had to be helped every time I fell in. And with a wonky leg and no balance, you fall in a lot. Because I couldn't get myself out the water because I couldn't pull myself up. So the goal for the year was to get me to do enough of a push-up that I could pull myself out of the water. I can now sit there and I did, 50 push-ups as part of a workout the other week, as part of a workout class. And that was part of the warm-up. And they might not be the most perfect push-ups, but they're damn good. They're straight-legged. My body is flat. I can't do them quite as fast or quite as deep as some of the guys, but I can get relatively deep. I'm building up the muscles across the pectorals, across the top of the breasticles, those chest muscles, those shoulder muscles I've managed to build up. And I can just do these things that I was never able to do. So yeah,